Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a genuinely high-stakes clash in the software development world. I mean, if you've ever felt that absolute dread of a flaky test or been bogged down by manual QA bottlenecks, well, you know exactly why we're here. It's the ultimate heavyweight matchup in web automation. In one corner, we've got the established, battle-tested champion, Selenium. And stepping into the ring against it with a sleek, thoroughly modern approach is the challenger, Playwright. Choosing how you automate your web testing is an absolutely critical decision, so we're going to break down exactly what sets these two titans apart.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today. We'll start in the automation arena, then meet the frameworks, go head-to-head with the key differences, check out Playwright's modern edge, dive into Selenium's proven power, and finally, we'll wrap it all up with the final verdict.
Section 1. The automation arena, setting the stage.
So, before we put these two giants in the ring, let's quickly ground ourselves. In today's hyper-fast software development pipelines, manual checking, it just can't keep up with deployment speeds. Well, not unless you want your QA team to literally never sleep. And that brings us to automated testing. Simply put, this is the process of using software to run tests on other software to verify its authenticity and functionality. Because the demand for rapid, reliable releases is just so incredibly high right now, this huge ecosystem of frameworks has basically sprung up to handle this essential process.
Section 2. Meet the frameworks, the contenders.
First up, we have Selenium. Originally created by testing engineer Jason Huggins, this framework has been around for well over a decade. It's an open-source testing framework that has been massively adopted by developers and QA engineers everywhere. It is, for sure, the undisputed industry standard. But contrast that with Playwright. Developed by Microsoft, Playwright is this modern, open-source JavaScript framework that was built with automation as its absolute default goal. It was purpose-built from the ground up to be reliable, blazing fast, and totally capable of handling today's super complex web apps.
Section 3. Head-to-head. Key differences. Let's get into the showdown.
Let's kick things off with language support. Since Selenium has been the go-to for so long, its language support is honestly pretty universal. We're talking Python, Java, C#, Ruby, JavaScript, the whole shebang. It lets teams just drop tests right into almost any existing development workflow. Now, Playwright, because of its modern roots, initially just focused purely on JavaScript, but it's actually expanding really fast, and it now caters to a much broader crowd by fully supporting Python and .NET too.
Next up is browser compatibility. And this brilliantly illustrates where Playwright really started turning heads. Out of the box, Playwright gives you native support for Chromium, Firefox, and WebKit. So you write a test once, and boom, you easily execute it across different browsers. Selenium, while it's incredibly versatile, relies on something called WebDriver to talk to the browsers. That means you actually need separate drivers for each specific browser, which, can require some extra and sometimes pretty cumbersome configuration and maintenance.
Okay, let's talk about execution speed, because this is huge. Playwright uses this modern multi-process architecture with a single open WebSocket connection for all requests while a test is running. And that connection just stays open until the test is totally done. So the crucial point is that this single connection drastically cuts down on errors, massively boosts speed, and handles asynchronous events like an absolute dream. Selenium, on the other hand, relies on that traditional WebDriver we mentioned. Because of that, it can be comparatively slower, especially when you're running tests that involve really complex multi-step browser interactions.
Wrapping up our head-to-head, let's look at headless browsing. That's when you're running tests in the background without a visible browser window actually popping up on your screen. Both of these frameworks support it, but Playwright's modern architecture definitely gives it the edge here. Its headless mode is highly streamlined, giving you consistently better performance and just really efficient resource management. Now, Selenium's headless mode is absolutely functional for sure, but depending on what you're doing, it might hit some limitations, and it just kind of isn't as heavily optimized as Playwright's setup.
Section 4. Playwright's modern edge, the challenger's superpowers.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is seeing the completely unique advantages Playwright brings to the table. Notice that it's the only framework offering built-in native support for WebKit, which is the browser engine for Safari. That alone is a massive time saver for developers. It also natively supports modern JavaScript frameworks like React, Angular, and Vue. But actually, scratch that. Its biggest superpower has to be smart auto-waiting. Playwright just automatically waits for network requests and animations to finish before it executes the next action. This virtually wipes out those incredibly frustrating flaky tests caused by slight timing issues. You get way more reliability without ever having to write those clunky manual sleep statements.
And it doesn't stop there. Playwright really pushes the envelope with some awesome advanced automation capabilities. You can natively emulate mobile devices, run complex geolocation simulations, intercept network requests right on the fly, and even seamlessly capture screenshots and video recordings while your tests are running. I mean, these advanced features drastically simplify how we test all those complex, real-world scenarios in today's highly dynamic web apps. It's a real game changer.
Section 5. Selenium's Proven Power, the Champion's Arsenal.
Okay, let's pivot back to our reigning champion and remind ourselves exactly why Selenium has been the industry standard for so long. Its absolute core strength, maturity. It has massive, widespread adoption. And what that means for you is a deeply mature ecosystem that's just packed with plugins, integrations, and third-party tools. For mobile apps, you get really powerful device testing through Appium. Plus, it's universally cross-platform across Windows, macOS, and Linux. Because this community is so massive, honestly, if you hit some weird edge case bug at 2 a.m., chances are extremely high that someone else has already solved it and posted the fix on Stack Overflow.
That huge, mature ecosystem gives Selenium ultimate flexibility. It lets development teams meticulously mimic incredibly specific real-world user interactions. You can smoothly handle those really complex alerts and screen pop-ups, dynamically run custom JavaScript code directly inside the browser, and, maybe most importantly, it boasts seamless CI system integration. That CI integration is literally a lifesaver for big legacy enterprise systems. This level of extreme customization means teams can validate highly specific, really intricate app behaviors right inside the workflows they already use.
Section 6. The final verdict, making your choice. Let's move to the summary and see how this builds our final conclusion.
All right, here's our summary matrix. Take a quick second to absorb this. If you're building modern web apps and your top priorities are blazing fast execution speed, auto-waiting, and native WebKit support, Playwright is absolutely your modern solution. Its main drawback, it's just newer, so the ecosystem isn't as massive yet. On the flip side, if you're dealing with diverse or legacy systems, testing mobile apps via Appium, and you really need extreme flexibility backed by a huge, mature ecosystem, well, Selenium is still your highly flexible powerhouse. Its main trade-off is just that the WebDriver setup can be comparatively slower and a bit more complex.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, the choice really boils down to your specific project needs. Which framework fits your future? Are you leaning toward the modern speed, asynchronous handling, and native WebKit support of Playwright? Or do you need the established ecosystem, broad language support, and ultimate flexibility that Selenium brings to the table? Take a look at your workflows, evaluate your team's skill set, and ask yourself, are we optimizing for the web of the past or building for the web of the future? Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive. Catch you next time.